Welcome back, everybody. We are watching round number 8 of the GRENKE Chess Classic. And frankly, the games are not that exciting. But what's very exciting is we have a very special guest on the line, keeping in line with our Peter principle, coming to you live from, I'm guessing, St. Petersburg. Welcome. Peter Svidler is with us.
Hey, how are you doing, guys?
Hanging in there, hanging in there.
Yes.
Yeah, you chose the right round to ask me to comment, because we can talk about anything basically. It feels like there's any number of topics we can broach today safely.
There's not that much happening, is there? Let's do a brief tour through the games.
Sure.
You guys are the chess experts. You tell me, Knight H draw?
Yeah, that should be very equal, because black no longer has any weaknesses, but the bishop on b6 is too dead for Vichy to be able to create something, I think. It was an interesting game to begin with. I was kind of curious about the theory of the line. I played it a couple of times with white, but yeah, but by this point I think it's very dry. The game between Fabi and Lev is about to finish in about 30 seconds.
Wow.
Which is useful for us, I guess.
I don't know.
No, I mean, we still have some live action going on, obviously, but there have been rounds in this tournament which looked a lot livelier than this one.
Did you follow the tournament?
Yeah, I can't say, I probably won't be able to immediately recall every single game, but I obviously follow the tournament. Yeah, I'm very much a live action junkie,
and you're not just compatriot, but he's from your city, right? Vityugov. He's having
yeah,
a good
I'm
tournament.
extremely excited about Nikita hopefully getting some recognition out of this tournament, I mean, the last two rounds will be very, very important for his fortunes, and you could probably pick slightly easier last two rounds than what he has, but
Even last three rounds, no? Black against Aronia, black against Carlsen, white against Fabiano.
Yeah, that's true. But he seems to be doing okay so far today, which is gratifying to see.
Yeah, I mean, very much okay. I was also telling Jan that I'm extremely happy for Nikita, because I also had the chance and privilege to play against him in the Russian League in 2013, and we had some very interesting theoretical debate. And
that Paulsen, yeah?
Exactly.
That was an interesting game.
Yeah, very interesting, and I'm very happy that now he gets the recognition, because yeah, he's a brilliant player. With
Yeah, but he actually has to fight for it every step of the way. I mean, he only got into this tournament by winning the Open, and that actually gives me the opportunity to. I wanted to do this as early as possible. I wanted to congratulate you on Vincent's results.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's incredible.
That's extremely exciting. And from what I've seen of the young man's interviews after the tournament, I'm even more impressed, if that's even possible, by what I've seen in the reports after the event, because for a young man of this age to be so level-headed is tremendously impressive, and I suspect your influence is quite keenly felt there as well, Peter.
Well, actually, surprisingly not at all, because I started working with him in the Under-20 World Championship in Tarvisio, and exactly before the first round I didn't know how to prepare him, because we didn't even know whom he will play, so I just asked him to please show me a couple of his games, and the way he presented the games, everything, I mean, I thought like, wow, this is just impossible. I mean, he was not yet 13 at that time. He just turned 13 during the tournament, but it really felt like you are talking to some grandmaster already, and not only in chess terms, but also in life. So it's immensely big pleasure to work with him.
Yeah, that sounds like a good experience here, and very happy for both of you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Peter. The only game I'm really excited about right now, and okay, for a long time, is the Georg Mayer Hui Fan game. I would really much like to share your thoughts. What do you think about this position? Because I feel some potential.
I saw your quote on Twitter, and it looked like, you know, it's such a recognizable Peter Leko quote there. It was a very enjoyable little snippet, and yeah, it's not as easy as it looks. I think Black should be able to hold it regardless, but it's not as easy as it looks. And yeah, White definitely will be pressing for a while. And actually, before coming on air, I've been trying to remember. I think you won some very nice games in these types of structures. I personally don't have very much experience with these things from either color, but I seem to recall some very instructive games you played.
Yeah, I had some instructive games also from the white side, but also one time a nightmare experience against Anish Giri. He knocked me out exactly in the same variation in Baku World Cup, and it looked like an innocent position, but I felt myself during the whole game uncomfortable, and it was kind of fine for me, and I should have played somewhere f5. But I missed that opportunity, and now speaking about f5, Hui Fan did play f5, and this is the way to play with black. I mean, you can't really give the e4 square for white. This is the way to fight for.
Yeah, and with only the dark squared bishops left on the board, it feels very natural to go for f5 and to try and if Georg plays king f3. You just keep the structure, you never actually take on e4, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, the reason why I didn't do f5 against Anish is because we still had some rooks on the board, and there were some issues with entering with the rooks, and I was a little bit already short on time, and I did not want to calculate. But here, of course, yeah, without the rooks, and very important that if white goes e4, e5, then black has knight e8, knight c7 idea to get the knight to d5. That would also change quite some, but I still feel that with the king on f3 and the black king on g8, white still might be able to pose some questions.
White gonna take on e4? Is this gonna be prolonged
suffering?
Yeah, like bishop
you can, but that was the question. I mean, on the one hand, it takes some more pieces of the board, which should be good for black, but on the other hand, you do create some potential weaknesses, which you generally, right now, the best thing about black's position is that there are no weaknesses. So why would you immediately create some? And also, I think we have some moves we can still make, like king f3. We can go king f7. Maybe in some positions we can go h5 even, to make sure nothing ever happens on the king side. I don't know about king e8, because this square might be needed for the knight, as Peter said, to reply to e4, e5. But king f7 and then maybe g6, h5, some of those moves you can still make, and you can still kind of wait for white to show his hand before committing to any structure changes.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I still feel Wang Yue would just take on e4 and laugh in everybody's face.
No,
think about winning that position.
No, I'm not agreeing because first of all, I think Wang Yue is also one of the biggest experts in such position with both colors, and he will never do the slightest inaccuracy. And regarding already your line, just a model line how things can get maybe nasty is like bishop d6, bishop d4, and you might play king f7, but let's just suppose you play knight f6 check. Just
I never touched that knight.
No, okay, I understand, but just just to explain that after knight f6 check, bishop takes f6, gf, f5 might be a structure where the white knight might dominate the black bishop in long terms.
Yeah, no, this is exactly how you lose these positions, but it does require black to make some completely unforced decisions, of course.
Yeah. Anyway,
and we are actually down 2 games. Naidi Chanand finished in a 3-fold, and Caruana Aronian also. They found a very funny 3-fold. Instead of taking the d pawns off the board, they just continued playing bishop b8, bishop b1, bishop a7, bishop a2. It's nice to see people having an outbreak of a sense of humor in a position like this.
Yeah.
This is risky, no? Bishop a2 is a pawn sacrifice. King f1?
Yeah, it's
What
an
is he
actual pawn
doing?
sacrifice.
Take on
Yeah.
d3. Fabi should have punished
Yeah.
him.
But yeah, so we're down to 3, and Peter, what do you think about this? Like everybody and their uncle playing this d takes c3 in the anti-Grunfelds, like Bluebound did today against MVL.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I think I was one of the first who did. I mean, I don't know exactly who when discovered, but there was a time when I was looking at this position with Salem, and it was kind of part of his repertoire with Black, and we kind of with Salem from Sharjah, and we finally. I just told him, you know, you have to be kind of ready for this d takes c3. It was like 1.5 or maybe already 2 years ago. And then we started analyzing this queen takes d1, king takes d1 positions. And okay, everybody who knows Salem knows that he loves fire on board and he's an extremely creative player. But after moving like for 10, 15 minutes, he kind of screamed that, no, I want to play this with white. Yeah, this was kind of a clear indication that this endgame is quite serious business.
It's quite annoying, yeah. It's remarkable just how annoying it is. And also, what Bluebound did today, I've already seen it at least one in a Grandmaster game before that. And they are now trading queens even if you play queen c7. And this is, like, it's breaking my heart because this is actually a very serious part of my repertoire. And I already lost a very important game in this line with Black. And then I thought, okay, I will start playing queen c7, and probably I'm not equalizing, but at least the queens will stay on the board. But now they found this queen d2, queen g5 idea, so queens are still coming off everywhere. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do about this.
Yeah, it's not easy because I already mentioned here when it just happened that I think I know who is responsible for this queen d2 because when we were playing Russia in Crete, then before the game between Erdős and Nepomniachtchi, really considered that this position should happen. So we were very happy to hear that Victor was planning to play fifth move e3. And we also told him that there is no way Jan gonna exchange the queens against you, so be ready for queen c7. And then we met at lunch and he told me that, yeah, against queen c7 he's absolutely fine. He find this e4, knight c6, queen d2 idea. He worked it out. He's super confident in all this. And then we were very pleased, you know, then already we knew that this is the right track. And then
Hungarian School of Chess.
Yeah, Hungarian School of Chess. And then finally this game was of course really impressive and very important for the tournament. So the German chess magazine Schach had asked Victor to comment this game, and in his commentary he was so excited that he won against such a great player like Nepomniachtchi, so he felt like he should reveal all his secrets, and he already announced in the commentary that yeah, he planned queen d2 novelty for this game, and it was published last November.
Oh yeah, no, the game I saw that was actually in Vike. This is why I've seen this before, and that was also a Bluebound game. I didn't remember that he played it, but I saw the game because obviously it was played next to my board. There was a game between Bluebaum and Tari in Vike. Mm-hmm. And Tari played h6 instead of f6, and he had a really, really unpleasant position out of the opening. His position was like seriously unpleasant to look at. Yeah. At least at some point.
Yeah, I mean, we felt the speed, how Maxim reacted to it with f6, queen f7, that probably Maxim kind of expected this to happen. So it didn't really come as a shock, this whole queen d2 business. And there was a huge debate what we were having with Jan on move 19 after rook takes d5, because Jan said that there is no way a German player would ever take ed5. And I already didn't know what to do with it, so I'm very pleased that Matthias did play e5.
I'm very disappointed, and I think he's paying the price for it now. After g5, f5, like all these imbalances, like who wants to deal with these headaches?
No, I have a feeling he is better though.
That's possible, but I'm still disappointed.
Like g6, king g8, and then play, I don't know, bishop. But then again, it does get very double-edged if you play g6 check. But if you don't play g6 check, why have you played g5 on the previous move? I think it has to be connected with g6 check, but I guess he probably was planning to go bishop g5 there.
And then bishop f6, right?
Yeah, and he probably noticed bishop f6, yeah. And this is why he has played f4 now. But yeah, this is back to proper German chess, school of chess, I guess. Yeah, now Jan should be happy again, because black probably plays e4 check, black plays g6, and then I guess it's closed enough that nothing will ever happen.
But then only white can be better, no? Maybe no one can be better.
No, I don't think so. g6, bishop f8, bishop g7, I don't think I'm struggling.
Yeah, draw.
No, the big question is, can Maxim actually go for something with e takes f4? But I think that's the way to lose.
But the horsey comes to f3, e5.
Yeah, the horsey comes in, and the bishop on e7 is just too far away from good squares to do that. If you already had g6 on bishop f8, you would definitely consider it, but not without those two moves.
All right, so we're expecting a draw. Let's have a look at Carlsen, Vityugov. We've left it before a5, but of course a5 was played. The simplification. E d5, move 20, queen takes. We've had this whole line, knight e4, de.
No, we had with before knight b7 included, yeah.
Queen c4, queen f3.
Yeah, it should be fine for black, but you still have to pay attention because your pieces are still slightly misplaced. But I guess maybe he can just immediately go knight b7 here, and that should be okay.
Yeah,
to have knight d6 the moment the knight comes to f5. I want to have knight d6. And I also want to stop any kind of rook d1, d7 ideas, because my initial reaction here was to play g6, but then after rook d1 it becomes slightly awkward, at least for like the next move or two, because I think in general this should not be bad for black at all. But also maybe if you play g6 there is knight f1. Now that I look at this position, maybe knight f1 could be an interesting idea. Because the knight comes to good squares very fast after that. Goes to e3 and then to either g4 or g5. So I actually like knight b7 even more because of this.
Yeah, I agree.
Or you could bring the queen back. You could go something like queen e6 here and then go
knight c4, yeah.
Knight c4, knight d6 was very similar ideas, yeah.
This is what Jan likes the most, I think. No, Jan was all day screaming that the queen belongs to e6, which is absolutely right. And yeah, with knight c4, I mean, somehow it feels too little for white. I mean, there are not so many pieces left. Yeah.
If black manages to completely coordinate in the next 2-3 moves, if black doesn't allow anything to happen, of course he will be fine. And also, I was very happy when I saw that Nikita went for the whole bishop c5, bishop f8 plan, because I think this is a very important idea, which I'm sure it existed before that, but for me, a kind of an eye-opener was this game that I think Levon won against Timur Rajabov in the London Candidates, where that was a Giocopiano, not a Spanish, but...
Bishop on c2 line, right?
Yeah, and then at some point he just went bishop a7, c5, bishop c5, f8, spending 2 tempi just to bring it from a7, where it looks like it's a very long and open diagonal, so you don't feel like your bishop is necessarily misplaced. But it's actually just so much better on f8 because it protects your king side, it controls some important squares. And I thought, so this plan exists, and I've been kind of a fan of it ever since that game.
No, I think it was also with exchange on b3, no? Some bishop b3, ab structure, no? Or not?
I'm not sure.
Maybe, yeah. No, the light square bishops came off in that game, yeah. Yeah, and then he played a5 actually, and I think Timur actually kept the pawn on b3, and it became maybe later even a little bit weak. So yeah, Nikita, he already played queen e6. He should be doing quite fine here, I assume. It's really not a lot here that white can even pretend to be doing.
Any advice what we can ask him in the post-game conference? What dark secrets does Nikita have? Maybe we shouldn't ask about those.
Yeah, but Interesting finish on our hands, yeah. With Nikita playing white against Fabi tomorrow, that's gonna be. And Magnus is playing. Magnus is playing Vachier, yeah.
With black.
Yeah, Vachier is not having a stellar tournament, but that doesn't mean that a game against him is easy, obviously.
Who's your favorite right now?
Well, you always take. I mean, we've had this discussion throughout the candidates,
Always
right?
take the points, right?
Yeah, you just take the points. If the question doesn't offer you odds, if it's just a straight up question, I mean, you take the guy with the points.
We've been picking Fabi as the favorite for a long time now and everything.
Yeah, it's very impressive, but it's not. I mean, to my eyes, it's not very surprising that he's doing well, because I think you know, doing well in the candidates, winning the candidates, just gives you such a high that. Yes, you are incredibly tired, obviously, but you're also just kind of so happy that it carries over into your game, I think. And but still, it's a very impressive thing to be leading in a tournament you're playing immediately after the candidates. This stronger field as well.
Peter, you won the candidates once. Did you play anything right after that?
No, actually, I had quite a huge break, and I was quite happy with it. I mean, going for holidays somehow felt absolutely right. It was also summer. The tournament finished something like second part of July, so August was dedicated to holidays.
Sounds good. Well, yeah, we see Fabi here with his trusted second Rustem Kazımcanov. They seem to be having a good time, not stressing out too much about the tournament. But can't argue with 5 out of 7.
Yeah, I think that's the correct approach.
They're also going to the US Championship with like a 5-day break after that. So Fabi has had a busy spring.
Fabi's schedule, yeah, it's very impressive that he has all these things in a row. But he is a young man, so.
We know what it means.
Yeah. We can still sort of barely remember how it feels to be able to do these things.
I cannot.
Yeah. Obviously.
I'm much older than the two of us.
Yes.
Then the two of us together, no?
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. Well, Ivan played king e8, but now e5, there's no Leko maneuver.
Okay, no Leko maneuver, but also already g4, g6 had been included. So, for example, even a knight on f7 is not so bad, because you often have this knight h6 ideas.
I can go to d8, c6.
Yeah, you can also go there. Yeah.
f7, d8, c6 maybe is a good enough route for this knight, and I don't think Georg will be pushing e5 anytime soon, because I think it makes it a lot easier for black to determine where things belong and so on.
Only if there is this idea. For example, I go e5, and you go knight f7, and I'm in time to go b4, b5. Because if you go b5, I might have a, b, a, b, knight, bc, knight, d4, hitting the b5 pawn. This is again move per move calculation. If black is in time, then everything is fine. But if not, then there is maybe some issue.
Yeah, you need to be very, very prepared, because you will have a very small window after playing e5 to do something, and then if you don't achieve anything at all in the next, I don't know, 2-3 moves, black will be completely comfortable. And I quite like this king g8 idea, because I think the king side is reasonably safe now. Although, I mean, it frees up the e8 square for the knight once again, but I'm not sure if the king actually goes much further towards the queen side. Because if something suddenly happens on the king side after that, you might not be in time to come back. But it's not easy to create any threats on the king side, though.
Yeah, this knight d6, f5 was a nice reaction.
Yeah, this is a good setup for black. Very stable setup. Very difficult to shift.
So do you still expect a 100-move game, or is this
No.
more of a 41-move game by now?
Okay, 41 move, don't know, but definitely not 60 plus.
Because here they can't offer a draw before move 40, so we've seen a lot of 40, 41-move games in this tournament.
Yeah.
That's tough. To play for a draw if you have to make it through a whole time control, like, wouldn't be my cup of tea.
Yeah, this is cruel and unusual.
Yeah, not a fan.
But I think the biggest problem with this is during team competitions. Yeah, because usually there is so much tension in the team competition, so the team captains and players always hated when there was this 40 move rule, and I think there was. Like in 2011 Porto Carras, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was still like this, and then they changed back to 30.
No, in Porto Carras I played. I made a lot of short draws, so they can't have been.
Really, yeah?
Yeah.
I remember, or then they changed, somewhere I remember that this 30-40, it was heavily discussed, because simply it's kind of unfair when you are playing for your team, then you don't know what to do in time trouble.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So in general, we're pro no restrictions. I'm not sure. I think for me, as president of the Chicken Chess Club, if I would have grown up, and I think, Peter, we also talked about this, with Sofia rules would have been good for me. Those started when my habits were already messed up, so it was too late for me.
No, I personally, yeah, we've had this discussion. I personally benefited a great deal from Sofia/Corsica rules being introduced, because it forced me to play, and I after the initial shock has worn off, I realized this is actually kind of improving my EV quite a bit. But yeah, I can understand the. Actually, no. I think this is one of the few things which are, definitely in the plus column if we're talking about FIDE interventions in how chess is played. And yeah, not very many others can be named, but
At least for commentators and pundits and so on, it does ensure, even though today is not the most exciting game, it does give us something to talk about.
yeah.
Then again, there's not that much to talk about chess-wise today, is there?
Yeah,
No, today definitely is a slow round, but I think it will. I mean, tomorrow is likely to be a lot more interesting because there will be. I mean, the tournament situation, and looking at the positions right now, it feels like the likeliest outcome is that the tournament situation will remain roughly the same, and people will start playing for. I mean. I have a feeling, knowing Nikita, he will actually play quite sharply for a win against Fabi, because he is, he is not the most outspoken and the most, controversial person in terms of, interviews and statements. But he is very ambitious, and for him, the opportunity to actually win a tournament of this caliber will, I think, once again, the events of tomorrow could prove me completely wrong, but that's my hunch, is that provided the opening doesn't completely flop for him, provided the game is not just utterly dry by move 20, I think he will try getting as sharp a position as possible and play it quite definitely for a win tomorrow. And Magnus, despite being black against Vishy, if he gets a game tomorrow, he will be pushing to get the +3. And yeah, tomorrow's round promises to be very interesting, at least in terms of the. I mean, those two games for sure. I don't know about the rest of the pairings.
By the way, I don't think Magnus is done with today's game.
No,
I agree with
yeah,
Equal, but I think this is gonna.
I was about to say that this Queen e6 Knight c4 idea that we were pushing, it does allow this h4 h5 maneuver, which I think all of us we kind of missed this. And yeah, Nikita replied by linking h7, and I wonder if he really wants to play h5 g6,
I was
Because
thinking about h5 here, but then you can take and g6, queen g4, no? Like immediately instead of king h7?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that works. I was trying to make that work, but I don't think it does.
Right.
So yeah, he already played king h7, and after h5 he will have a somewhat uncomfortable situation maybe. I mean, maybe you can just ignore it. Maybe you can just go rook d8 and say that I do not believe you actually can make any progress on the king side. But this semi-eternal knight on f5 is going to be not very pleasant. And going knight d6 takes f5 is not a structure change that you want, unless you can somehow equalize immediately afterwards. So yeah, you're very right about Magnus not being done with this game.
I'm always impressed by super strong players and their h4, h5 timing, because it feels like a little thing, but often it's so important. Yeah, if you get the pawn there, and yeah, I'm always very
and
impressed when this happens.
that was more or less the last moment where he could have done this, because yeah, and maybe what's even more, maybe you could make an argument for even waiting with knight c4 for one move and playing knight f5 king h7, so that you make sure it doesn't happen.
No, I think Nikita, like all of us, underestimated this h4.
You know, but
Yeah.
maybe there is also some move per move issue that after king h7, h4, g6, knight comes to e3,
Yeah.
and knight
That
d5
is
and
also-
knight g4 kind of things.
That's actually very similar to this line that we were discussing after g6 knight f1. And yeah, those positions are not as safe as they look. And yeah, definitely, I mean, it's still not very much, because there are few pieces on the board, and apart from this very nice piece on f5, white doesn't really have very many trumps. But
Maybe black has the idea just to go rook a8, rook a1 also, just spinning this bishop.
yeah,
And if you play a b3, then I'm gonna go knight d6, and your pawn structure on the queen
yeah,
side will be.
the pawn will start hanging. Yeah, this is a good point. Yeah. And once again, we come back to the importance of bringing the bishop back to f8, because, you know, the same position with the bishop still somewhere around b6, you really start liking white. And you start looking at bishop c5, bishop f8 immediately, because you just don't like the pawn on g7 being weak. So it's very important that the bishop is already there, and the king side isn't actually under any serious pressure.
Right. So maybe it won't be Georg Meyer, but actually Magnus that tries to get the long game, but it still does seem equal.
Okay, Magnus is known
Magnus
to.
always tries to get a long game.
Absolutely. What else is new? I think that's it.
Okay, there is some development in the Bluebaum Vachier position. Exactly things happened what Peter already mentioned. Yeah,
yeah,
black
also bishop
regrouped
to
the
G7.
bishop to g7, and I feel that, okay,
No, black is. If anyone has any kind of play, it's black. But I don't think it's very serious. I think white should always be fine here. Because I think it's extremely difficult to actually make some kind of a b5 break actually achieve something. And also,
But don't we have a plan? Whatever, bishop d4, knight d6, rook a8, b5, then you just take
yeah,
twice.
we definitely have this plan, but I just feel like there should be a way for white to deal with it sufficiently. He played bishop c3. I assume Maxim will play bishop d4, and then maybe we can just go king d2 and then knight c2, and just say, yes, it takes me a while, and yes, it looks kind of ugly, but I will force those bishops off. And once those bishops come off, I think if you actually play b5 and let's say white reacts by taking and going rook a1, with the blockading knight on e3 and the dark squared bishops gone, I don't think white is ever really in any kind of trouble.
Makes sense. Bishop d4
Yeah,
plate.
I think king d2 actually might be an important move in this position, but it's not a difficult move because, frankly, what else do you do? I mean, you need to deal with this bishop on d4 somehow, because it's extremely annoying, and you have no constructive moves at all while it's there. Yeah, and king d2 already played by Bluebaum, which is not a surprise. And yeah, Nikita decided not to tolerate this knight for much longer and played g6. So, I mean, I can understand this decision, but now he will always have. He should always have some push. Some hopes with white, because the king on h7 will never be entirely safe.
And the structure could be worse one day, right? If white changes hg, fg, Magnus would have a little something to work with.
Yeah. The question is, where does the knight go? And I have a feeling it probably goes to e3, which is, I guess, why Nikita played g6, because on g3 it really has no prospects, but on e3 it allows more pieces to come off. So the structural weaknesses that black has there. Ah, interesting. He goes knight e3 without even taking. Which I suspect is his way of saying, I have this option and I will have this option forever, so I don't really have to do it immediately, and I will sort of make you calculate the inclusion of hg6, fg6 after every move, so that you have to be constantly worried about it without knowing when I will do it, which is a smart practical choice.
Yeah, you do feel like black should exchange the knights, because with the knights on, the kingside attack might be much more dangerous.
I mean, allowing this knight to g5 or g4 would be ill-advised. Let's call it like this. I don't think you ever do that.
Draw agreed and Georg Meyer how you fun.
Yeah, it seemed like they were repeating, and well played to Ho Yifan, who I think demonstrated sort of the correct approach in a position where she actually needed to be somewhat careful. And it was important to recognize that moves she's making are important. It's not just a completely symmetrical position where you can do whatever you like.
So that leaves us with only two games, Carlsen, Vitugov, Bluebaum, MVL.
And MVL is actually trying to fight with the idea we were describing, because I think if white goes knight c2 right now, you can go e3 check and then take on c3 and go rook e4. I don't know if that actually gives white any advantage, but the position becomes a lot sharper. I mean, black, not white. Black is the side here that has options to push, because obviously black can at any point play a6, a5 and offer a draw.
But why would I allow this? Rook e8, can I go rook e1, let's say?
But then after knight d6, knight c2, I probably have
still have e3.
I probably have the same tactic.
Okay.
So it feels like you might not actually be able to play knight c2 without allowing something like that.
But then actually there is a huge difference, because in the e3 check, king d3 position, bishop c3, king c3, white has this rook against rook e4, the rook takes c3, rook e6 idea. And, and it can get extremely messy. Yeah? You take f4, and with knight e4 check, you take g5, and I start collecting on b6, a6.
Yeah.
Very big mess. King b2 maybe.
But Maxime wants a big mess.
Yeah, of course. No, and we also want big mess.
Maxime is very much in favor of a large mess. Yeah.
This could also be a good mess, no? The f pawn looks very fast. Okay.
Yeah, the f pawn is also very well supported by the pieces. Yeah, and yeah, could be in black's favor quite easily.
All right. So while we're waiting for a move, Peter, any questions for Peter? Or Peter, any questions for Peter?
No, I just I did want to say something specifically about Vincent, because that is, I think, the big chess story of the past week. But apart from that, and also I wanted to say that I haven't watched every single show, every single minute, but I have seen some of it, and I really liked what I've seen. I think you guys are doing an excellent job. But apart from that, no questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Peter. I'm also very much delighted to be next to Jan, because he makes me feel very comfortable. And I think this is very important.
That's not how people normally feel around me, so that means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned this before, I'm very aware of the Peter principle, so I'm always very grateful to have you guys around,
Did
explain
you
what happens
already
on the
have
board.
Did you already have PH on?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah. I did miss that one, so.
We had Rustam for half an hour. That's the only non-Peter I've been around for like
Oh,
the
yeah.
last weeks.
That should not be allowed.
I agree. He's out.
That should not be allowed.
So Peter Svidler, what are you up to? Do you have any tournaments coming up? What are you doing?
Well, I'll play the Russian League. Apart from the Russian League, not a lot in terms of tournament now. I'll currently doing non-chess things, and you know, feeling slightly weirded out by the fact that non-chess things exist, but they do occasionally make a reappearance. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I should say sorry or glad to hear that, but
Yeah, best not go there.
no.
It's a combination of the two, obviously, as is always the case in these discussions.
Rook A2 has been played.
Yeah, I think Marcus probably realized that Matthias. Yeah, I don't know why I said Marcus. That knight c2 e3 is maybe not something he should be allowing. So putting the rook on the a file makes it extremely difficult for black to ever push b5. And without b5, I don't think black actually has a plan here.
Can we dream of going h4, h3, rook h8, rook h4?
Well, h4 can be met by
you
h3.
go h3
so,
into my dreams.
yeah,
and
it feels like this is extremely far-fetched.
Short.
Yeah, Maxim will now bring the king over. He went knight b7, and I guess he'll bring the king to c7, and then kind of or maybe even b7, and then once again consider if b5 gives him anything. But my feeling is it should, but who knows?
And we have the first players coming in, so that's a good opportunity to thank Peter Svidler so much for joining the show. And we will be back with you in just a minute after resetting up here. Thanks for joining, Peter.
Sure, always a pleasure.